defense ministers and military attachés from various African countries have toured some of the security institutions of Ethiopia here in Addis Ababa, such as the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute and the Federal Police INSA, and also the National Intelligence and Security Agency. It is part of the African Defense Ministers Conference here in Addis Ababa, hosted by Ethiopia. Addis Media Network talked to some of the dignitaries and said that they are highly impressed about what they have seen, and they also say that Ethiopia needs to impart its experiences to neighboring countries and also to other countries in the continent Africa.
You know, cyber warfare or cyber security is the future, even for military operations. And I'm really impressed. And I'm looking forward for my country to sign a defense cooperation with Ethiopian Defense Force. You know, Ghana and Ethiopia has a long history, from Kwame Nkrumah to Haile Selassie. But to my surprise, we don't have any cooperation. Ghana don't have any. So I'm very optimistic. My team that came from Ghana, hoping that we will be able to establish that cooperation, even including the INSA, because cyber is the future.
Yeah. So cybersecurity is about peace and security also. So this is regard what Ethiopia is just doing. Can be exemplary to African countries, and of course Ethiopia can learn a lot from other African countries. So in this regard, what do you think the African countries do to cooperate, particularly in cyber security and in defense and peace?
Yeah, in our present world, no country can go it alone. Multilateral is the way forward. So from this conference, the focus has been cooperation, where African militaries will cooperate. And then, you know, military or security concerns are no more traditional military issues. It has to do with different dimensions of security. So I look forward that at the end of this conference, it will not just become a talk show. We'll be able to move beyond and establish those cooperations, and then we take it to the operational level and make sure that our nations are safe and secure.
Tell us about the impression and what you've seen here.
Yeah, in fact, this cybersecurity department, being indigenous, this is very important to protect the cyber attack from the foreign aggression. And we have seen so many sections, as well as the training being given to the youngsters who have this talent to develop, and that will benefit the country as well as the neighboring countries. I had asked the question before that, how many neighboring countries being invited for this training? They said, well, it's still yet, but they are going to invite the neighboring countries. And the nearest one is South Sudan. The nearest one is South Sudan, and we are eager to participate in this kind of training. This one also being impressive enough that it is owned locally without intervention from outside. One of the officials expressed that if the cable is cut, what can we do? And they have capabilities and capacity to work locally without even relying on the cable from the sea, you know. And this is quite impressive, and somebody can appreciate it.
The tour at the AI was a very important tour. It opened up our minds to a lot of things which are pertinent to the development and security of Africa. It also emphasizes the importance of developing our own systems, our own technology for our own security, because security is very much important for development. What I liked most about Ethiopia's approach is the human security approach, which is almost a holistic approach targeting things like food security, health, as well as the mainstream country security, which is pursued by the military. So I think that approach, which is a broad approach, is very much important, as it also contributes a lot to peace when you develop food security for people, as well as bringing in the mainstream security, which is pursued mostly by the military. Yeah, so it is very important. I think other countries are also pursuing it, and they should pursue it in cooperation. So it looks like Ethiopia, as it is pursuing a leading role in this, maybe in the following years, when our countries are also invited, we will willingly participate so that we learn more about how to enhance the security, especially as it will benefit the whole of Africa and reduce dependency on other countries.
I congratulate the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for what they are doing. They are very now advanced in the artificial intelligence researches, which certainly may profit other African brothers. For that, as said by His Excellency Ethiopian Defense Minister, we as African, within African solidarity, are we ready to get to you and ask you to help us to go forward in advancing artificial intelligence. I was very impressed by what we are doing in medicine, in agriculture, and in other domains. I wish you to go always forward. The role of Ethiopia in strengthening peace in Africa, especially in the Horn of Africa and the East African region, is very crucial. You are more developed than other troops, than other defense forces, so we have to inspire others. We have to play the role. Traditionally, as you liberated Somalia from tribunal courts, I think you have to continue to help other African, East African and Horn of Africa countries to get peace, like Sudan, Somalia, and others.
They visited the students, the younger students, just working on cyber security. They also visited cyber talent summer camp graduates, and also inside building. It was initiated by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed 9 years ago. And now the building has a lot of activities inside, the security activities. So the cyber industry products also the other things that these delegates are visited, and the aerospace products also and services. Archbishop to the Ethiopian Air Force also is the one that this delegation visited, and they say they are highly impressed about what they have seen.
The visit is going on very well. Personally, I'm happy to have come to this country where Mr. Mandela was trained militarily in the 60s, and of course, the person you are speaking to, that's myself, I ended up working closely with him when he was released from jail. It's good that we are following in his footsteps in this country. So far, the image I'm seeing is that the country is developing very well. The maintenance of the infrastructure is looking good, and the military, they seem to be professional. They have long been in this field anyway. But talking about the visit here in the military Air Force, you guys, you are doing well. I'm impressed with the training facility for the pilots, and I hope that South Africa and Ethiopia can exchange notes and compare notes and see whether we cannot forge a relationship which will emerge to promote to produce rather the pilots.
This is a historical one, and I want to congratulate the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, for hosting us as African Ministers of Defense. And the excursion, the presentation, and coming to tour the Air Force facility is amazing. This is the first of its kind that I've seen in Africa. And I believe that the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia should be commended for a work well done. Ethiopia plays a very historical role in peacekeeping and the stability in most of the regions in peacekeeping. And just like Uganda, Ethiopia, the birth of Pan-Africanism was given back here in Ethiopia. So where a problem in one country is a problem for Ethiopia. So we want to thank Ethiopia for being one of the troops contributing countries in Africa, and their role for peacekeeping is commendable.
Well, these African defense ministers and military attachés have also paid a visit to the Ethiopian Federal Police headquarters in the capital. The Commissioner of the Ethiopian Federal Police, Commissioner Demelash Gebra Michael, just addressed the delegations and talked about Ethiopia's endeavors towards maintaining the peace and security of the country. He said Ethiopia has followed a holistic approach towards peace and security. He also emphasized the reform that Ethiopia has embarked on, the 10 years reform. So the federal policy reform is part of this national reform. So a lot of activities, a lot of reforms have been done in the federal policy, according to him.
The security sector in Ethiopia have been undergoing a reform process for the past 6 years. In this process, the Ethiopian Federal Police has implemented various reform activities to achieve the obligation based on us by the Constitution and the peoples of Ethiopia. To ensure a successful reform, we have studied the approach and experience of other countries. This is the holistic approach. Security sector reform approach has shown promise and success in different countries. The Ethiopian Federal Police has adopted the approach and is fulfilling the mission of creating an institution that delivers exceptional police service not only in Ethiopia and Africa but also globally. As part of the process, we have developed a 10-year strategic plan with the vision of becoming one of the top 5 African police institutions by 2030. Our reform efforts encompasses various aspects of the police system, including structure, budget, policies, strategies, infrastructure, human resource, and so on. We are committed to modernizing our police service through the integration of innovative technologies such as the command and control center, digital communication tools, and advanced investigation devices. Excellencies, in our effort to digitize traditional community policing, we have developed the citizen engagement system of the Ethiopian Federal Police application, that is the AFP app, making us among a few African countries to develop digital police service engaging citizens. The Ethiopian Federal Police is playing a significant role in the fight against transnational organized crime in Africa. Particularly in East Africa, we assumed the role of chairmanship of the Eastern African Police Chiefs Cooperation Organizations, EAPCO, from December 2022 to October 2023, my successor from Rwanda, my brother GP. Furthermore, our engagement in the field of security is expanding from Africa to other continents. During our role as the chairman of EAPCO, we initiated the cooperation of the organization with the Ministry of Public Security of China. This year in September, the Chinese government acknowledged our effort to joining the Eastern African police institutions with the Ministry of Public Security. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we Africans have consistently called for equal inclusion and the benefits from security cooperation platforms concerning our society. I believe we are at an important time to strengthen our cooperation.
You know, the irregular forces, like you mentioned, Boko Haram, they are always a step ahead of the regular forces because they collaborate. You know, Boko Haram started as a local problem. Now they've linked up with Al Qaeda. So there's a need for us. Security goes beyond the border. You know, you cannot separate national security from international security because the two work together. So we need to collaborate on the African continent. We need to work at a regional level and the continental level to be able to address these problems.
The cooperation might not be having a limit. It has to continue with generation to come. With our generation, let me tell you, I can give you, let me give you a flashback. When the South Sudanese were struggling for their independence, in 1972, the agreement was signed here during the late Emperor Haile Selassie, Emperor, and it was signed in 1972. Even Haile Selassie visited South Sudan, those three regions. At that time, was so young. And after 11 years, that in 1983, Khartoum began to abrogate the peace agreement, that was signed in Addis Ababa, and then brought the second civil war in Sudan as whole, and sorry that he was toppled, but the Derg stood with the South Sudanese movement, which is Sudan People Liberation Army, and Sudan People Liberation Movement. I was a member. I joined the movement in 1984 and trained in Bonga by the Ethiopian Air Force, Special Force, the one who trained us. And we went down to fight. When the Derg fell, EPRDF took over responsibility on South Sudan movement, supporting it, until the Ethiopians participated in the war. You know, they lost life. And really, that was the contribution. And there's no any change of support to South Sudanese, whether the government change or what. They are still, they are steady supporting South Sudanese, a young brother to Ethiopia. And therefore, coming back to what you said, the cooperation has to continue for generation to come.
The African countries need to cooperate, especially through the African Union. That is the conduit of meeting and mapping out strategies which are going to promote peace, as well as the supporting the African Union's institutions, such as the African Standby Force, using such technologies as we have seen in the morning to enhance the capability of the African Standby Force, as well as working closely together in the regions through the regional mechanisms, in developing peace in Africa.
We will share all the systems with you. So this institute is here to serve Africa. This is what we wanted to show you. The first office organization we have seen today is also ready to serve Africans. So we will try to develop ourselves together. Otherwise, if you remember during the conference, we said we have to develop together. We have to have a capacity ourselves together. We have to share what we have at every corner of Africa, and then we can be fully stand on our feet. Otherwise, waiting for others to solve our problems will be difficult hereafter, because they were talking about artificial intelligence, which is coming, and it is also very fast. So things get outdated very fast. So we have to be ready to combat all problems that are coming to this continent. So I know we can do it. There are a lot of potentials everywhere in Africa. So we have to come up together and make ready our continent to combat any challenge that we will face, because the challenges are different, the solutions are different, and we are capable of solving our own problems by ourselves. So that means uniting African countries on this kind of technological solutions is very important. So Ethiopia just wants to show what we started, and then we are just asking you to cooperate everywhere. The institute is ready to integrate, to discuss, to collaborate with any artificial intelligence institutes, whether it is in Algeria or Uganda or Mauritania, anywhere in Africa. So they are very ready to get information, to collect data, to give their experience. So, and that's good to know about the conference they always do in a yearly base. So the security sector we are leading is also suffering from different kind of challenges. So it is the first sector that should be connected to AI. So we are also cooperating with them, and we also urge you to cooperate with your country's AI institutes. We can also support establishment of this kind of institutes in your country if we are better in a position. So we can support that also. So thank you very much, because our problems are there is no border these days for AI and these technologies. So we cannot just think of our borders, because the challenge is beyond that.
Well, everyone, that's it for this week Diplomatic Corner program. Today we brought to you the visit of the defense ministers and the military attachés of African nations. I'm Jonas Asres. Until we meet you with another program next week, have a wonderful time.